Hello there, Star Wars toy fans. This is Jim. Thanks for stopping by my channel. Well, the focus of today's video happens to be the Return of the Jedi figures from Jabba's palace, as well as the sail barge. And I'll be comparing those that I have in my collection from the Kenner versus the Hasbro. And this is by far the most incomplete collection that I have of the entire series. Maybe, of course, next to the Ewoks produced by Hasbro. And part of it has to do with just lack of availability, being able to find these figures on the pegs, as well as prices, and I can always find something else to spend my money on that interests me more. And so this is it. This is my complete collection. And I'm going to start off by talking about the Max Rebo band. Now, this is one that I did not have from my childhood. I remember seeing it in the store, and I was in college and didn't have any money at the time because all money was going out for books and so forth. I wish I had picked it up then, but I didn't. So I acquired this as an adult, and that's these three figures here. So we have Sy Snootles, Droopy Mccool, and Max Rebo. And what I'm told is that the microphones come in different colors. So there's two different versions. There's a silver and a black. I happen to have the black version. So Sy Snootles happens to have basically 4 points of articulation. So the arms move and the legs move. Kind of looks like a weird bird, if you will. Even has a feather on top. And then we have Droopy Mccool here. And Droopy happens to be playing an instrument sort of like a clarinet or maybe an oboe. He only has 4 points of articulation, so the arms move up and down and the legs also move, but the head is pretty much stationary. And then we have Max Rebo. Now, Max Rebo plays this keyboard-like instrument, and this one's kind of hard to find intact, but he's got roughly 5 points of articulation because the head does turn, the arms go up and down, and then the legs move. And so you can place him like so, and then of course he has the microphone. Now, I don't happen to have any Hasbro comparisons, as I already had a set, and which was this one, and I really had no interest in picking up the other one when they came around, just because I had that one. Now let's take a look at the next figures, and we'll first start with Squid Head. Now, I don't happen to have a Hasbro comparison of this. It was 2003, I think this came out with the either Power of the Jedi or the Saga series, and it really didn't interest me a whole lot. This is my childhood one, made by Kenner, and you'll notice it's got two cloaks. It's got a nice fuzzy cloak here, and then an inner cloak that, well, I guess you gotta have a cape and then a cloak on the bottom. Happens to have a gray, this is what I call a Bespin blaster, but it was shown in Empire Strikes Back. He has 5 points of articulation, so the head moves. He's got this plastic thing around his waist, a big belt. The arms move and the legs move, and that's pretty much it for him. Now, moving over to the left, we'll take a look at Ree Yees. Now, this is my childhood Ree Yees, and he has 5 points of articulation, so the head turns and the arms move up and down, legs move so he can fully sit, and then he has this gold-like gun. Now, interestingly enough, you'll see there's a little glue spot there. This came broken in the case. So I don't know what happened with Kenner, but it was not a fault of my own, but it is what it is. That's the original gun. Now, this is the one that came out with the Power of the Force series in 1998 by Hasbro, and this Ree Yees is probably a little bit more accurate, though he's a bit bulked up as those Power of the Force 2 figures tended to be. He has 6 points of articulation, so the head moves, and then the waist also turns. He has two guns. He's got this pistol there, and then this blaster right there. A little bit different with each one. He can't sit because his jacket prevents him from doing so. That's one of the limitations with the vinyl figures, or vinyl capes. He also doesn't hold this gun really well. It doesn't grasp well in his hand. Now we'll take a look at Bib Fortuna. And this is my childhood one. He happens to come with a staff. He does have 5 points of articulation, so the head does rotate minimally. Nice sculpt there on the tentacles. He has, I think I said, this staff, which is unique to him. The cape is sort of a fuzzy velour shape. You can open that up, and then he has this plastic piece that's underneath. Never actually took this off as a kid. But you'll see there that there's a little bit of wear on the cape, as well as some aging on the plastic. See how it's whitening there. Not sure why that happens. Must be a chemical reaction with something, maybe with the fabric. I'm not really sure. Stays pretty much in the case its entire life. So, all right, well, let's take a look at the 1997 Bib Fortuna. And he happens to have one blaster. He doesn't have the staff there. He has 6 points for articulation, so the head does turn a little bit better because this comes up, or the tentacle does. Arms move up and down. He looks like he is just permanently agitated. I mean, his hands are just stiff, like he's got rigor mortis. I'm not sure why they chose that mold rather than a relaxed mold. Now, he can't fully sit because of this vinyl cape, and I'm not a real big fan of these. They have, it looks better, more realistic than say the Kenner one, but again, playability wise, he can't sit, and I suppose you could try to move the legs all the way up, but you know, just a kid couldn't really play with them all that much. At least that's my opinion. Now the plastic piece happens to be molded in to his cape there. Last but not least, we have the Gamorian Guard. This is my childhood toy, and I remember when I first got this, I had never seen an action figure with so much plastic. This guy was just huge, and it wasn't until I got my C-3PO collector case that I was actually able to store him in a case. He only has 4 points for articulation, so the head doesn't move whatsoever. You can see that's permanently fixed there. Comes with the axe. See, still a little bit of silver there on the wood. That's how I notated my weapons from my brothers. He does fully sit. Arm moves up and down, and I think that's a pretty good realistic sculpt of him. Now, the 1997 Hasbro version's really nicely done. And it looks like the camera's a little bit blurry today. I'm not sure why. But anyway, he's got 6 points of articulation, so his head does turn, which is cool. The waist rotates, and he can sit, if you will. And the axe is really nicely sculpted. I would say it's a really nicely done mold of him. And I know that the Gamorian Guard's been done numerous times by Hasbro, but this happens to be the only one that I have in my collection. Well, I hope you enjoyed this segment. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to the channel. I'll give you part 2 here in a moment.